Hello everyone. In previous lecture I had already taught about the trophic level. So what was the trophic level? So these are basically starts from the producer. So the producer here forms the first trophic level as they manufacture the food, and then the primary consumer form the second trophic level, as same the secondary form the third trophic level, and then tertiary form the fourth trophic level. So these all are the trophic level that include in the food chain. Now these trophic level are connected through the food chain. So what is a food chain? A food chain is basically a linear of sequence of the organism in which the each organism is eaten by the next member in the sequence as their capability. We all know that the food chain consists in a sequence level, that one small organism are eaten by the large organism. For that there is basically these interaction amongst the organism involves the transfer of energy from one organism to another. If any small organism is eaten by a big animal, then the small energy is transferred to the big animal. So here the transfer of energy is involved in the process of food chain. Now as we know about the detrivores. So detrivores are those animals which feed on the dead parts of the organism. As they feed or as they live on the dead part of the organism, as they eat the dead part of the organism for their survival. So these animals, for example, if you take the detrivorous examples, these are basically the crabs, starfishes. These are detrivorous which feed on the dead part of the organism. So if we talk about the food chain that starts with this dead organism matter is called a detritus food chain. Now in similar case, if you take the example of this detrivorous, or we can say the detritus food chain, so the first one starts with the tree leaves that is eaten by the detrivorous, and then the detrivorous is eaten by the small fishes, and in small fishes are eaten by the large fishes. So this is how the food chain is interconnected in a sequence one by one. Now the next topic is about the host. So what is the host? Basically, that parasites are the organism that lives on or inside the body of any living organism, or basically these are called the host. So they obtain food from them, as the parasites live on any of the body, any living organism of the body. For example, if you take an example of a cow, you will able to see some leech on the top of their body. They are basically attached skin of the animal. So if we talk about the food chain that starts or that involves in the transfer of energy through this series of parasites is called the parasitic food chain. Now if you take the example of this parasitic food chain, so the trees leaves are basically eaten by the parasitic birds, very small birds, then the bird lice, and then a flagellate protozoan. This flagellate protozoan is unicellular organism which is involved in the parasitic food chain. Now the food chain topic is almost this one. Now the next topic is about the food web. So the food chain is basically the sequence of the organism that is eaten by the one from the another. In the food web you will able to compare upon the constituent organism and environment. So starting with the food web, an interconnected network of a food chain which is basically forms a multiple feeding connection among the different organism of a biotic community. In food chain we have seen that the small organism is eaten by the big organism. In the food web, that is not necessary that it will be only in the sequence. These are basically interconnected networks. If you see the example of this, here the grass are eaten by the three organisms, that is the squirrel, grasshopper, and then the rat. Then these rat are also eaten by the wolf, and these rat also eats the grasshopper, and the frog also eats the grasshopper. So here a grass is also eaten by three organisms, and the grasshopper is also eaten by two organisms. Then the frog is also eaten by owl. So here also the wolf, the main big animal, is eaten by the rat, oh sorry, rat is eaten by wolf. For same, here the squirrel is also eaten by the wolf, and the rabbit is also eaten by the wolf. So here the animals are basically depending on the interconnected network of a food chain, which has a multiple feeding connection among different organisms. So this biotic community is called the food web. So this was about the food web. Now in the next part of the video we will understand about the flow of energy in an ecosystem. So till then, thanks for watching.